Hey everybody, it's Elijah and we're back with another lab. Today we're going over lab number 10. And in this lab, we're going to be investigating a company-wide outage where users are reporting that Cisco IP phones are no longer registering after a scheduled maintenance. Now in this lab, we're going to go through the investigation and document in BridgeOpsOne just like we did in the previous one. Now, one thing to note in this lab is just because if users report an outage doesn't necessarily mean it's a network outage. It could be an outage to a specific service, like a voice service. But what we're going to do in this lab, we're going to compare what's working versus what's not, and then we're going to narrow down a problem. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, y'all. So we're going to pretend that we're in a Teams channel with other departments, and they're notifying us of an issue that just began. So let's start here at the top. In HR, it says, "Hey team, just wanted to flag that multiple users in HR are having issues with their Cisco desk phone. They are stuck on configuring CM list and won't register." Then IT says, "Same here in IT. Soft phones are fine and can access everything, but the physical phones aren't registering either." Sales, we're seeing the same in sales. Apps, email, and internet are normal. Just can't make or receive calls on the desk phones. Finance, finance phones aren't working either. Feels like an issue with the voice system. So here we can go ahead and see that it looks like this issue that's happening is isolated to the voice system. And the only reason I'm saying that is because you can see here in sales it says applications, email, and internet are working normal. Now that's just an assumption. We're gonna verify that, but it looks like here that we're looking at an outage, but specifically for the phones. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask some follow-up questions like we did in the previous walkthroughs. So we're going to ask, did this start right after maintenance? Is this affecting every department? Are soft phones or mobile phones impacted as well? Any recent changes to voice, DHCP, CME? So all we're trying to do is just gather more notes, establish a timeline, and define the scope of the incident. And so HR, their response started right after the scheduled maintenance around 6:30 a.m. Yes, all departments are reporting the same issue. Soft phones and mobile phones are working fine. Network team said no changes to voice or CME. Not aware of any GHCP changes, but will confirm. So that's all the notes that we got from the department. And just to kind of summarize what we know, so we know that the issue started after the maintenance window. We know that multiple departments are reporting the same symptoms. Workstations, email, and other applications are functioning completely normally. Soft phones are not, oh, soft phones are working, but the physical Cisco IP phones are not registering. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all the evidence that we have so far and we're going to document that into BridgeOpsOne. So I'm going to open that up. And basically what I'm gonna do is copy that conversation, that Teams chat conversation. I'm gonna open up BridgeOps here. All I did was just paste it in here. And what I'm gonna go with customer update, I'm gonna change that to initial. We'll leave the audience at customer and we'll do, let's go with professional. I'll go ahead and generate that and then we'll read it. So it says, we are currently investigating an issue affecting physical desk phone registration across multiple departments. The problem began shortly after scheduled maintenance earlier this morning. Soft phones and mobile phones remain operational and other network services appear unaffected. Our teams are actively engaged in diagnosing the cause, including verifying related network and voice system components. We will continue to monitor the situation closely and provide updates as more information becomes available. So that is a good initial update. Doesn't make any assumptions or point to the root cause because we do not know the root cause yet. And so we're going to save that to the timeline. We see that here. We're going to open the command center, save incident. Here's our incident right here. Right, there it is. Here's our initial update. Here's our initial update. So now we have our initial update. We notified the customer. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to begin investigating what's going on. Okay, so we got Packet Tracer open. Let's go ahead and go over what we know so far. So we know that users throughout the organization are unable to make or receive phone calls because their Cisco IP phones aren't registering. However, their workstations continue to function completely normally. So they can still access internal resources, and the Cisco Call Manager Express server is believed to be functioning normally. So at this point, nothing is really pointing towards a network being down, but everything points towards a service, aka the phone service, failing somewhere in this network. So what we're gonna do, just like the other lab, I'm gonna start with the endpoint, and I just want to verify some things here. So we're going to go to command prompt, and I just want to verify basic network connectivity. So we're going to do ipconfig, and then we're going to ping that default gateway. Okay, so that works. So now I want to ping another device on the network. So let me go here to, let me go to sales PC1. I'm gonna go to IP configuration. So 20.21. So we're gonna try to ping that. So we're gonna do 192.168.20.20. Okay, so it looks like that's working. If we do it again, yeah. So what this tells me is that the data network appears to be functioning normally. And so whatever is preventing these phones from working, it probably isn't a layer 3 connectivity issue. So what I want to do is I'm going to actually check the IP phone that's reporting an issue. So all these departments are reporting an issue. Let's go ahead and check HR phone 1. We're going to go to the GUI. And here you can see right here, the configuring CM list. So that was one of the things that they reported. And so instead of showing an extension number, so it should be extension number right here in this right corner. So instead of showing that, you can see it's trying to configure the IP and it's going between that and configuring CM list. So now the question is, why can't the phone find the call manager, right? So what we're gonna do, let me go ahead and exit out of here. So what I want to do is I want to verify what the call manager express is seeing. So we're going to go to router 1 right here. And the command I'm going to run is I'm going to run show ephone. And the show ephone command displays every phone that's configured on this router. So we're going to do enable show ephone. And here, if you look, you can see right here, unregistered, the IP, there's no IP, and it's down. And you can see that it's the same for every single one, right? So that confirms that this issue is not only a single department. So we confirm that. And we confirm that every Cisco IP phone is failing to complete the registration. So now, next in our investigation, we just need to determine why. But before we do that, I think this is a good spot to stop and leave an update. So again, we're going to pretend we're updating the customer with what we found so far. So we're going to say PC network looks good. Gateway responding, cross network ping works, phones stuck, configuring CM list, show ephone, all unregistered, and looking at voice DHCP next. So here, let me fix this real quick. Okay, so we're gonna change this to customer update, customer, I'm gonna leave this at professional, and then we're going to generate that. So it says we continue to investigate the issue affecting physical desk phone registration across multiple departments. Network connectivity and gateway responsiveness have been confirmed as normal, and cross-network communication is functioning. The phones remain stuck during the configuration process and are not registering. Our teams are now focused on voice DHCP components as part of the ongoing diagnosis. We will provide further updates as the investigation progresses. So that sounds good to me. We're going to save that to the timeline. And then we're going to go here. I'm just going to refresh this. And there we go. There's our next update. And so next, what we're going to do is we're just going to follow the registration process. We're going to figure out why exactly this issue is happening. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Okay, guys. So the next question I really want to ask myself is, how does the Cisco IP phone actually find the call manager? So unlike a workstation, a Cisco IP phone doesn't automatically know where the Cisco Call Manager Express is located. It has to learn that during the boot process. So one of the most common ways it does that is through DHCP Option 150. So if DHCP Option 150 is incorrect, then the phone may receive an IP address, but it won't know where to register. So what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if that's happening here. So I'm going to go to router 1. What we're going to do is we're going to run show running config. And basically what I'm trying to do is I'm reviewing the router's configuration because this router is providing DHCP services to these phones. Specifically, I'm going to be looking for a voice DHCP pool. So I'm going to do show running config. And right here, you see DHCP pool voice. And what we're looking for here is you see that the option 150 is set to 192.168.150.99. So the DHCP pool is telling every Cisco IP phone that the Call Manager Express is located at 192.168.150.99. Now, what we want to do is we want to compare that against the Call Manager Express configuration. So we're going to scroll a little bit further here in a second. And what I'm looking for is a telephone service. So let me keep going down. So right here, see the service, and you see the IP source address is different. So this tells us that Cisco Call Manager Express is actually listening to 192.168.150.1. So that's our mismatch. DHCP is telling every phone to contact 192.168.150.99, but Cisco Call Manager Express is actually listening to 192.168.150.1. So the phone successfully received an IP address, but they're simply attempting to register with the wrong server. So since nothing is listening to 192.168.150.99, the registration never completes. So that's why every phone is stuck on the configure and CM list. Let me go down here. So just kind of go over what we said earlier. That's why it's important to separate network connectivity from application or service discovery. So here in this example, the network is working completely as expected. The phones simply receive the wrong information about where to go. So now that we found all this information, this will be a good spot to leave another update. So I'll clear that out. We're going to do found issue voice JCP option 150 182 wrong CME IP. Phones getting JCP but can't register. Updating DHCP config. Next. Okay. So we're gonna leave this like it is, generate an update. So it says our investigation has identified a configuration issue with the voice DHCP settings that is preventing physical desk phones from completing registration. The phones are successfully obtaining DHCP addresses but are unable to register with the voice system. Teams are currently updating the DHCP configuration to address this. We continue to monitor the situation closely and will provide further updates as progress is made. So that's a good update. We're going to save it to the timeline. We're going to refresh it here just to make sure it comes up right here. And there it is. So now we're going to go ahead and get into applying the fix. Okay, guys, so now that we've identified the incorrect DHCP option 150 configuration, instead of advertising the incorrect call manager address, we're going to be updating the voice DHCP pool to provide the actual Cisco Call Manager Express server. So one thing worth mentioning, in Packet Tracer, it doesn't always cause the Cisco IP phones to immediately request a new DHCP lease. So if your phones remain stuck on the configuring CM list after the change, save the lab, close Packet Tracer, reopen it. That forces the phones to reboot and request updated DHCP information. So now let's go ahead and verify that our change actually solved the problem. So we're going to go to back to router 1, and we're going to go config T, and we're going to do IP DHCP pool voice. Okay, so now we're going to do option 150 IP, and it was 192.168.150.1. So we're going to do end, and let's see. And here you can actually see right here that the phones are being registered. So in this case, I didn't have to close the lab and reopen it. They're actually registering. So I'm just going to give it a second and let it register the other phones. Okay. So now what I want to do, I'm going to do show ePhone just to verify that these phones are not registered. Okay. So you see here, registered, and they all got IPs. So you can see that it's with every single one. And so that's what I was hoping to see after making that change. So now every Cisco IP phone is now successfully registered with the Cisco Call Manager Express. So now that we've verified that, what I want to do is I want to go to the phone, and we should see, there we go. This is what we're looking for right here. So this no longer says configuring CM list. So now that the phone is showing an extension, I want to verify that it could actually make a phone call. So let me just check to see what this extension is real quick. So okay. So 01. Okay. So you can see here it's making the phone call. So everything's working as expected. So now that we verified that we fixed the issue, let's go ahead and leave an update, a final resolution update for the customer. So what we're going to do, we're going to clear this out, and we're going to leave our last update. So root cause confirmed voice DHCP option 150 wrong CME corrected option 150 phones successfully registered. Tested phone to phone call. Voice services restored. Monitoring stable. Incident resolved. Okay, guys, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change this to a resolution summary, and we're gonna generate that. And it says the issue affecting physical desk phone registration has been identified and corrected. The voice DHCP configuration was updated to point to the correct system, allowing phones to successfully register. Voice services have been restored, and testing confirms normal call functionality. Monitoring continues to ensure stability. This incident is now considered resolved. Okay, so that's perfect. We're going to save that timeline. See it's resolved, refresh, resolve, and here is our final update. Okay, so we're going to open up Packet Tracer back up. But just to wrap up this entire lab, early in this investigation, it would have been easy to assume that the network was or the entire network was experiencing an outage. But as we saw in the evidence, it told an entire different story. So the data network was healthy, workstations had connectivity, routing was working, applications were accessible. The only service that wasn't functioning properly was voice. So by comparing what was working against what wasn't, we narrowed the scope of the investigation. We avoided unnecessary troubleshooting, and we were able to identify the root cause. And that's exactly how you want to do it. So, thanks guys for watching this BridgeOpsOne troubleshooting walkthrough. If you enjoy this style of content, there are plenty more troubleshooting labs that I will be coming out with on this channel. I'll see you guys on the next one.